change because of the complexities of global politics today. So we have to understand that at the global level, things are really complex. And today, when you look at the global objectives, they revolve around climate change containment, fighting global war against terrorism, economic growth. And today, if you see, it's not only about the Western world. Today, Asia as a region is asserting itself. India is standing tall with its emerging power. On the other hand, if you see, Africa and Latin America are the new destinations for investments and, of course, power. So, theoretically, when you see and when I try to analyze what is happening in Ukraine today or has to change our understanding about the global politics conceptually. So all of us kept arguing that the world is multipolar and complex and that we live in the world of technology and globalization, and it is a constructivist and neoliberal world. And we all argued, especially I argued, that no country would like to go for war. Why would anybody like to go for war in today's time? But see, we have seen 100 days of war between Russia and Ukraine yesterday, day before yesterday. And now new theaters are also opening. So this clearly shows that still, if you see, global politics is shaped by realist decisions, ambitions, and conventional power. And this too gives a good understanding about the roadmap for US and China relations. So before looking at the present scenario and going to the future and what may happen and so on, we have to look at the history of Sino-US relations. And if you look back in the history, the rivalry started from the very beginning itself. So Chinese Communist Party leader Mao Zedong established the People's Republic of China in Beijing on October 1st, 1949, after the peasant-backed communists defeated the nationalist government of Chiang Kai-shek. And Chiang and thousands of his, followers fled to Taiwan at that point in time. So at this juncture, the United States of America backed the nationalists against, invading Japanese forces during Cold War II, and hence supported Chiang's exiled Republic of China government in Taipei. And this all set the stage for several decades of, hostile relations between United States of America and Mao Zedong's China, I may say so. And since then, Sino-US competition has continued. So if you look at the major milestones and major, junctures in time, so be it the Korean War of 1950 or Taiwan crisis of 1954, 55, 56, or what China did with Tibet in 59, or if you see Tiananmen Square massacre of 89, or China's atomic tests, or China's increasing influence in South Asia, or the trade war, China and US could never normalize their diplomatic relations. And basically, when we look back at the past one decade, South Asia and Indo-Pacific have worked as catalysts in intensifying tensions between the two countries, as both United States of America and China have been fiercely competing each other here to establish their economic power, followed by strategic power in this particular region. And this is impacting global scenario and vice versa. That we have to understand. So the competition is so fierce that, and I am quoting past one decade, or for that matter, past 5 years, if you see. So at the 14th annual Shangri-La Dialogue on Asian Security in 2015, US Secretary of Defense Ashton Carter very clearly asked China to halt its controversial land reclamation efforts in the South China Sea. And he said that US states opposes any further militarization of China in this particular region and territory. And ahead of the conference, US officials also stated that they have the images from US naval surveillance that provides evidence for how China is placing its military equipment on artificial islands. And to this, Beijing claimed that the construction was mainly for civilian purpose and so on. But the war is on, particularly keeping this particular agenda in the center, in like if you see presently or in like past 1 decade. So we have to understand one very important point. Although we all accept, we understand that how US and China are competing in the trade domain predominantly, if you look at the roots, the tensions between the two nations are being driven by economic rivalry, if you see, as the tip of the iceberg, but the actual reason remains uh, as in the great power rivalry at the global level. And Biden has time and again emphasized the need of competition, confrontation, and cooperation all at the same time with China in his statements. But the Chinese president Xi Jinping in 2021 itself very clearly stated during a meeting of World Economic Forum that competition is for pursuing excellence, not killing of a rival. So Biden now characterizes the US-China conflict as a battle between the utility of democracies in the 21st century and autocracies. So look at the situation. And now it's not only South Asia. When you look at the economic aspect of this rivalry, China has been investing heavily in Africa and Latin America, especially in lithium triangle countries. And as I just explained, that climate change containment is one of the in using its different strategies. So be it salami strategy, be it string of pearls strategy, be it debt diplomacy strategy, China is using it for a long, long time to attain control over the countries like Nepal and Sri Lanka and Pakistan and so on. And we all know that through string of pearls strategy, it has already captured ports in Sri Lanka and in Pakistan.
Is ma'am audible to you all? I.
There seems to be a connection issue. Her voice is
I
not
think the
audible at
connection
my
issue is
end.
from her end.
Yeah.
Now we have to shift towards India-US relations. So when you look at, you try to connect US, China, and South Asia, and when you look at US-India relations, what we are experiencing in terms of our bilateral relations is not a very old phenomenon. So, despite sharing common characteristics as a country and conjoint strategic objectives, India and the US could not develop a robust bond for many years for different, various political, diplomatic, and economic reasons. And there have been interrupting rudiments such as US's soft corner towards Pakistan and India's inclination towards Russia since 19.
Just give us a moment. We'll get back to you all. I think ma'am is facing some issues with the network.
Pacific region free from any influence. And in the recent Quad meeting in Japan, also, all the member countries, including India and the US, explicitly spoke about enhancing their cooperation in the area of law enforcement and information sharing and technology sharing and exchanging best practices and also promoting strategic cooperation in the Indo Pacific region. And the member countries have also come up with a maritime awareness initiative, first of its kind in the region. However, India, when you look at India-China relationship now, despite facing continuous aggression from China for past many years, we should not forget again the complex aspect of global politics. India and China are engaged economically, as in, significant partners. So we have to understand one point here. No one can neglect its economic the food security, energy
Excuse
security.
me, ma'am.
Yes.
Sorry to interrupt. But I think there is some network issue from your end. So you might want to just use the audio and not the video, so that we are
Oh, is
losing you
it?
in between.
Okay. So I'll just put my video on off mode and
Yes,
then
ma'am.
see and let me know.
Yes, sure.
So can I continue?
Yeah, please.
Okay. So see, yes, I was discussing the economic angle and the role that economy plays in resolving any issue, attaining any objective, and also attaining power at global level. So I was talking about the major issues today standing in front of the entire world. So presently, if you see entire world, as I said, is working on different, ways and means to come out of the economic slump and other difficulties created because of COVID-19. And then containing terrorist organizations like Taliban and IS and Al Qaeda is also a huge global agenda. So, although after Taliban's resurgence in Afghanistan and taking over the political regime of Afghanistan in August 2021, entire world and especially United States of America have clearly come up with the agenda to fight against global terror and terrorist organizations. Biden has also come up with the clear cut understanding about the role of Pakistan and China in promoting such kind of terrorist organizations across the world. And this also adds to the existing rivalry between the two countries. So at here, actually, an effective, a comprehensive global strategy seems to be the need of the hour at both levels. When you look at the relationship between US and China, and also at the same time at global level to stop such countries from promoting violence and terrorism through direct or indirect means. Then what is happening in Ukraine has created a big crisis for the entire world. So as per the reports from United Nations, 3 lakh people have already left Ukraine and they are trying to find shelter in different European countries. And then there are more on the way. Food crisis has already started. Energy crisis has already started. And this actually impact on energy security. And as all of us know that how Russia is a major source of oil and gas to the entire world. This has actually reshuffled the dynamics of global politics. So US is directly engaged in this Russia-Ukraine crisis, all of us know. So with an objective of checking Russia directly and China indirectly, Biden actually internationalized this issue between Ukraine and Russia and supported Ukraine in joining NATO. And Russia didn't want Ukraine to become a part of NATO because Putin was not in a situation to allow and afford NATO or America standing on its doors through Ukraine. And that is the reason Putin attacked Ukraine finally after giving multiple warnings. So, anyways, what is happening there today? Basically, not only impacts the bilateral relationship between China and Russia and actually works as a fuel in the existing rivalry, it also poses few important questions. for the future, especially. So now when I look at India in this entire matter, despite maintaining a balanced, diplomatic stand, India does not seem to be in a mood of, deteriorating its relationship with either Russia or the US. And after Afghanistan, this crisis, if you see, is certainly going to affect bilateral and multilateral relationships at global level. And it has already created another challenge in South Asia, as in China is coming up as the next aggressor in Indo-Pacific region to assert its power. So when you now try to look at the larger picture, basically here the institutionalization of norms can be very helpful in securing and in ensuring global peace and security. And here actually a major work has to be done. So the possibilities have to be explored in this particular area. So what is happening? India today, when you connect all these bilateral things, and then when you look at the global politics, the world order has already changed. There is no doubt about it. And amid this complex situation and dynamics where the countries are fiercely competing with each other, but at the same time, they need to collaborate with each other for certain global objectives. For example, climate change containment. The solution still lies in collaborative competition. But that actually looks like fallacy, and many call it oxymoronic. So the ever-changing situation in global politics indeed will keep directing the way. And for US, it has to first deal with its internal economic and political issues, and then it has to look at China and vice versa. So basically, both China and US, they have to first look at their internal interests, their internal priorities, policies, political situations, and then actually how they partner, how they collaborate with European and Asian partners. And of course, I would also involve Africa and Latin America into it to build enduring international institutions and relations. Basically, holds the key. So I would take a pause here and would like to ask Simone if we have any questions, and
Right.
would come back with the answers. Thank you.
Right. Thank you. Thank you so much, ma'am. It was indeed a pleasure listening to you. A very insightful session, must I say. And you very well covered a wide variety of topics and conversed it under the same umbrella. So thank you for that. We do have some questions, and I think the first question comes from Siddharth. Siddharth asks, given the recent example of US withdrawal from Afghanistan, coupled with a somewhat muted response to China human right violations, is the current US under Biden administration even willing enough to take China aggressively and militarily?
That's a very good question.
Mm, can we hear ma'am or not?
Lost the audio from her end.
Questions in this regard, and Biden actually is requesting people of United States America to do something about controlling, gun lobby and so on. And on the other hand, if you see, yesterday itself I read news about United States of America adding to its budget for nuclear power and nuclear arms. So on one hand, you would see a continuous effort to promote global peace and security. But there are domestic challenges for him. And on the other hand, you would see he himself is promoting arms race. What is happening in Ukraine actually can be quoted as an example here, that how an arms race has been started by United States of America in this entire, crisis. Now coming to what you quoted as an example, that's right, that the way United States of America stepped out of Afghanistan was questioned by many experts and media. But you have to understand that indeed the angle of presence of China and Pakistan was the main reason, because maybe Biden didn't want any war among China, Pakistan, and United States of America in Afghanistan at that point in time. And that could be a reason he just stepped back. So that could also be true in case of acting against the aggressive step of China. Am I audible?
We lost you in between, ma'am.
Am I audible now?
Now you are. Now you are. Yes.
Okay, so I don't know. I mean, I think there is some network issue.
Yes. Yes, ma'am.
So I was trying to conclude that keeping this behavior from United States of America in mind, India has time and again now cleared in front of entire world that it would keep its national interests in the epicenter while taking any decision. And that is the reason now India also would act very carefully, because now it knows that if at all it stands against China in Asia, there is no guarantee whether United States of America would come to its rescue or not.
Right. Right. So we have a similar question from Sachin, but his question pivots more around India. Sachin asks, what is most likely for India to behave? Will it strategically hedge between China and the USA, or will it take a balancing approach towards China? Because no doubt China is posing a serious threat, but at the same time, the US under Biden is acting as an irresponsible power. Is in this light, what should be India's approach?
See, again, a very good question, and I think I have covered its answer in my previous
Yes,
answer. When you look
yes,
at
ma'am.
India, India is actually using a very balanced approach. India is acting non-aligned and neutrally today. India does not stand with Russia. India does not stand with Ukraine. India does not stand with NATO. India does not stand with China. And time and again, our government has made it very clear what are our prioritized goal. We are actually working to promote economic growth for everyone. We are trying to work on enhancing the healthcare systems at the global level, vaccination systems at the global level. We are also focusing on our Make in India program. We are also focusing on fighting against this global war of terror. We are also working on climate change containment objective. So we have constructive objectives in front of us, and there whosoever would come and join our hands, we would welcome that particular country, be it China, be it United States of America. However,
Right,
if you ask that where would India stand, so I don't think that India would take any side when it would come to the rivalry between China and US. So you see today, US is also investing heavily in India. China has also invested heavily in India. So India is partnering with both the countries in different domains that you have to understand.
right, right. So I think India has always put the national interest at the prime, and India has been very well balancing the situation when it comes to US and China.
Right.
And in case of Ukraine and Russia, India had a very balancing approach towards the situation. Okay, so moving towards, I think this will be our last question. Parashar, he asks, what is the significance or relevance of the G2 informal structure that talks about informal relationship between US and China from an optimistic perspective?
Okay, so when you look at a group of two or G2, basically, yes, it is an informal relationship between People's Republic of China and US, and started from 2005, and indeed actually uh, its scope or its intentions uh, revolve around the positive developments in Sino-American relations, and there are different angles to it. So see, when you look at both the countries separately, both have their own objectives.
Is ma'am audible to you all?
We have again lost her audio.
Right.
Right, because when you look at the strategic and economic angles, still the challenges lie. Although, I mean, there have been dialogues and bilateral meetings and so on through this G2 concept, but I think a third, member or the mediating country would be required if you look from the optimistic perspective.
Right. Okay, so those were the three questions that were posed, and I think I could say on behalf of everybody, I would like to thank you first of all and I'm glad that you spoke on so many topics, and it was indeed very insightful, a very comprehensive. Uh, the topic itself was very intense, and you chose to make it very light, and you explained all of the integrities and nitty-gritties of the topic in such a simplified way. The only problem that we faced throughout the session was the network issue, but I think we all got a gist, and now we have a very detailed idea of what the China and US rivalry is all about, and how it may or may not impact India and the neighboring countries, especially in the whole of South Asian region. So thank you again, ma'am. It was a pleasure. I am going to ask one more time: is there anybody who has any other question to pose? You may ask your questions if any, and I hope Sachin, Radhik, and Siddharth, if you have any additional questions, you may ask as well. Okay, I am going to consider that as a no. And thank you again, ma'am, Anshu ma'am. And I hope we continue to have such enlightening sessions, and we hope that you would make time for us time and again to enlighten us with such topics.
So I think no one has a question now.
No, no, ma'am. Thank you.
So thank you so much, Simone. Thank you so much. I can see a lot of names over here on this virtual platform for attending this lecture of mine. And in future also, I would like to stay in touch with all of you. So all the best to all of you, and have a nice day ahead. Thank
Thank
you.
you. You too. You too. Thank you.